Well, another exciting Olympia has come and gone. Well, okay, so it's not quite exciting. In fact, it's not exciting. But it's true that it has come and gone. I think, first of all, the Open, I hate to be poo-poo the Olympia for any of you guys out there that are fans, huge fans. But since I've been around longer than some, and I've seen many Olympias, I'm sorry, but bodybuilding to me, the Open class is not interesting. The physiques look too much alike, just like a stamped out generic bodybuilding physique where guys are just too big. And I know that sounds crazy. It's just crazy for a guy like me to be saying that they're too big. But they are. They're so big that it's accepted now. It's just a given that their waistline's going to look like shit. It's just a given. It's such a given that most of you guys out there, or at least many of you out there, will disagree with me. The guys that I think whose waistlines look like shit, you would definitely say to me, oh no, but his waist looked great. No, it didn't. It didn't. People don't see it and want to look like that. People don't see it and think it's attractive. It's not. The sizes are so huge now that the judges and everybody else has just accepted that the waistline's going to look like that. And I'm talking about the top guys, the top 5 guys, 4 or 5 guys, top 4 guys especially. Their waistlines, when they move and transition, and even when they're hitting certain poses or just standing there and relax for an instant, their waistline, it's like they have something going on in their lower abdominal region that's just like a kangaroo pouch or something. It just looks like shit. And it hangs over the sides a little some places. Really low, like very unusual. It just looks like shit to me. I think it doesn't look like bodybuilding. And you can say all you want, well, they're catching them in between poses. I know how that is. I've seen some shitty, horrible pictures of me caught between poses. But you know what? It was only when I was like really, really huge. There weren't any pictures of me in between poses that really looked that bad. They may have looked awkward or unusual when I was transitioning, but it didn't really make my midsection look like crap from a side or from any other angle until I exceeded a certain weight, body weight. And I guess it's relative to your frame, and it's going to vary from individual to individual. But back in the day, like you consider somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like his physique, you never saw, there's no pictures of Arnold with his gut hanging over like that, even relaxed. I mean, there's a famous picture of him early on, probably from '68 or something, where he's relaxed and he's counting money, and he's like looking at the money, counting money, totally relaxed, and his stomach's not hanging over anywhere. But it's just accepted today that you're going to have that, and I'm not a fan of it. So for my money, I would have said it would have been very difficult to actually choose who should have won, because in Big Ramy, you have aspects to his physique that you could have given the thumbs up and placed him ahead of Phil. And then you have aspects to Phil's that clearly just obliterated Big Ramy. So it depends on what you're looking for, but were either one really the ideal that you would imagine a Mr. Olympia could best be? No. Not in my opinion, no. Yeah, Phil's sharper, no question. Phil's got better delineation. Phil's got just overall better shape in his conditioning even. But both, the midsections look like shit. Big Ramy looks a little softer. Not quite there condition-wise, but the overwhelming amount of muscle is just so impressive and dominating that I guess it could have gone either way. I figured it would go to Phil, but Phil's midsection looked bad. It just looked bad. All those top guys. Dexter seems to think that he's like almost untouchable, or should be, and that it's something other than fairness that he doesn't place where I guess he believes he should be. But that midsection is just fucked up, dude. He looks like a Ninja Turtle from the side. It just looks like the underneath of a turtle shell, but it's protruding. It just looks like that, or the stage or whatever, and the lower abdominal region looks worse. So, not saying any of these guys look bad. The whole point to this is, if anybody sees this and they have thin skin, which is only a good thing in competition. And they have really thin skin, and they think that I'm insulting them or disrespecting them. I don't intend it that way, because the thing to consider, all these guys are just incredible at that level. If you've ever been around anybody anywhere near the size of these fellows and in this kind of condition, they look unbelievable. You would be just over the top, knocked out, bowled over by just taking in this physique, this specimen, if you could see it up close. So all these guys are just insane. But we're not talking about how impressive they would be to you on the street somewhere, or if you could actually see them up close. We're talking about what's wrong with their physique, because at that level, that's what the judges are looking for. They're looking for flaws, looking for what's wrong. Everybody looks great. Everybody looks great. They look better than me, they look better than you, they look better than everybody. They're great. They're the best. That's why they're the ones up there. But you're looking for the flaws. And this midsection shit has just gone too far. It's just gone too far. And that's why when you go and look at something like classic physique, what do we even have now? We have a whole new division where people look like what they should look like. You know? And we keep the open class and just let it keep going. You know, and guys getting larger and larger and larger just because that freak factor now sells that. So I don't know. I guess he's just trying to give something to everybody. I think the classic physiques look a lot better. So the open, you know, it's whatever. Put whoever where you want in the top couple of guys there, few guys, whatever. When you get to 212, which I'm always more interested in, I had very, and again, it's kind of like the same thing. You have aspects of Flex Lewis's physique and his silhouette that are going to, that in my opinion, dominate Jose's physique, you know, on this given day and appearance. But the reverse of that's also true. You have aspects of Jose's physique that entirely dominate Flex Lewis's physique. So it's actually, what are you placing the most criteria, you know, what specific aspect of these physiques are you placing the most emphasis on when you judge which is better, which is going to be deemed, you know, better, superior over the other. So I could have gone either way with that. I see either way. You could explain why you would place Flex ahead. You could explain why you would have chosen Jose. So either way of that, I think that probably because Flex had the more aesthetic look, that they're probably, if everything is that, you know, you're probably going to go with aesthetics. So I'm guessing that, you know, it's not going to be a huge letdown to Jose or surprise that Flex Lewis places ahead. But here's where it gets really, you know, I just can't understand it. Jose at third? That I don't understand. That I don't understand. I don't see any comparison. Had him in second place. It was between Flex Lewis and Jose Raymond all day long. Didn't see Jose third, any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. There are going to be other guys that are more diplomatic that are going to say, well, this, that, this, and the other thing. But no, Jose's legs are just too dominating to, you know, not have him in second place. You know, the guy that took second place, whose name I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce because I'm a ignorant American and I'll butcher it all up. And he did, when he won the this past Arnold Classic also, right? Same guy. Mm-hmm. And his legs, I think his legs, they looked, to me, they looked more impressive than at the Arnold. Maybe not necessarily to, yeah, I would say conditioning-wise, it didn't look like he put a little bit of size on him maybe, but he still wasn't quite there. He was a little off. And Jose looked on the money. And again, if you're going to talk about midsections, there were guys that just if everybody has the same issue with the midsection, then you know, what are you going to do? Discount everybody? You know, so you got to just rate them as they come along. Some were worse than others. Some weren't that bad. I think Jose looked pretty damn good. Flex's midsection looked pretty damn good. You know, David Henry, of course, looked pretty damn good. The fellow that made fifth, his midsection was a mess. I understand it, that this is like his first Olympia outing, and he hasn't even been competing very long, and he's, you know, shooting up the ranks very quickly. But Really? I didn't see the rest of the lineup, but the rest of the lineup from sixth back, the guy that took fifth, he actually beat all those guys. That was, yeah. Maybe he looked a hell of a lot better yesterday. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my opinion for what it's worth. It ain't worth much. Because I'm not a really huge fan of competitive bodybuilding as a sport anyway. So, you know, if something I've said here you disagree with or are offended by, you know, big deal. Move on. You know, because I could just as easily be, if you want to just brush me off and just say, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. I'm not offended by that. So, because again, I'm not a huge fan of competitive bodybuilding. But I had definitely Jose in second. It was between Jose and Flex. And if they would have given Jose the win, you know, I wouldn't have seen that as like a terrible thing. And not just because I'm friends with Jose and like Jose, but because I think that could have been explained, that it would have made sense. Depends on what, again, aspect you're placing the most emphasis on in the physique, because one guy is superior in one department, one guy is superior in another department. You know, overall, where do you place them? But again, to put Flex in first, I can see that too. You know, I can make the argument for Jose, and I can also understand Flex placing ahead of him. But like I said, Jose dropping into third, that I don't. That makes no sense to me at all. No sense to me at all. I could say more, but you know, it's pointless. Just pissing in the wind.